Let's start using Excel to do some practical tasks. You might have heard about functions and formulas, and maybe you've even heard them being used interchangeably. Well, they're not exactly the same. So, what's a formula? A formula is really a command to do a calculation created using one or more of the basic math operations, such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. In Excel, a formula always starts with an equal sign. When you create a formula, it means that you are entering the math operators yourself. You can create a formula using values like this. Let's start with our equal sign as we mentioned before, and let's say we want to add two numbers, 25 and 5. So we type equal 25, the plus sign and the number 5, and hit enter. The value is displayed in our cell and the formula is displayed in the formula bar. What about subtraction? That's easy too. Type in equal sign 25, the dash sign for our subtraction and our second number. For multiplication, we use an asterisk, and for division, we use a slash icon. We type our values directly into the cell, but we could have also used cell references. Let's say we wanted to add two numbers, the numbers in cell A1 and cell A2. We could have typed equals A1 plus A2, so that's a formula. On the other hand, a function is a pre-built formula within Excel. Functions save us from having to build a task ourselves. So just like formulas, they do begin with an equal sign, but then each function has a given name that's defined within Excel. And then it's followed by open parentheses and the arguments that are needed to do the calculation. Once we are done entering the arguments within our function, then we end with close parentheses and hit enter, and the value is calculated. Let's say we wanted to find an average of the four numbers that are in column A. We would start with our equal sign as usual and type the word average, because that's the name of the function. We open parentheses and notice that Excel helps us by telling us what the arguments are. What's the syntax of this function? It says that we need one number and then a comma. Then our second and third and so on numbers. All the numbers after number 1 are in square brackets because Excel is telling us that these arguments are optional. So let's get started. Our first number is the number in cell A1. We type a comma for the second number and click cell A2 and so on. Comma A3, comma A4. Close parentheses and we've got our average. A quicker way of performing this average function is to use the cells in column A as a range. They are all next to each other, so we could have simply stated them as range. Instead of typing commas in between each other number, it works like this. We type the equal sign and the function name, open parenthesis, click the first number in our range, hold all the way down, we drag to the last number, release, close parenthesis, and then hit enter. Then we've got our average displayed as expected. So you can see that having functions in Excel is pretty useful. The thing is, there are hundreds of Excel functions and it's impossible to know each and every one of them. To name off everyone, especially if you're just getting started. And that's why the insert function shortcut is so handy. Let's say you wanted to add the four numbers in column A, but you weren't sure of the name of the function. So here's how we can get Excel to insert the function. Even if we don't know the name, we'll click on the insert function icon and a dialog box pop up saying type a description of what you want to do. And then Excel will recommend a function to you. So we know that we want to add the four numbers, right? So we type add numbers and three functions are recommended. For each function that we select a short description of what the function does is stated within the dialog box. This one is the one we want. It says the sum function adds all the numbers in a range of cells. That's what we want to do. We can hit OK, and another dialog box comes up with the function arguments that are required. It says we need the first number. We can click directly on the cells that we want added. So the first number, and then for the second number, the third, and so on. While we are clicking these numbers, Excel is performing the calculation and giving us the result. It says the formula result will be 180, so that's pretty neat. And we hit OK, and the result is displayed here. We look in the formula bar, and now the function is typed in. Of course, now that we know the name of the function, we can remember it for future reference if this is a function we are using it frequently. We can use a range the way we learned earlier. So let's type equal sum. Open parenthesis, click on the first number, drag all the way to the last number, close the parenthesis, and then click enter. And there we have the sum function performed as a range. Let's say that we wanted to multiply this total by the number 10. This cell already has values, so we really want to edit what's in the cell. There are a couple ways we can do that. We can either click the formula bar directly and type what we want. Remember, we want to multiply, so we type an asterisk and the number 10 and enter, and the total is displayed. Let's say we didn't want to do it that way. We can Ctrl Z to undo what we just did. And there's another way to edit a cell that has values. We can double click on the cell, and then we are inside the cell. We click on the location that we want to start typing, and we type our multiplication sign and the number we want to multiply by. Let's say we didn't want to do it that way. There's a third way. The easiest way to do this is to click on that cell and hit F2. Then we are right in the cell, and the cursor starts flashing at the end of the values. We type our asterisk, the number 10, and enter. So we just learned the difference between functions and formulas. We built our first function, our first formula, and we even added extra arguments to our formula. In our next lesson, we'll look at some practical application of how doing all these tasks can make our work easier.